Feel like this is Groundhog's Day for a number of reasons, but I swear I feel like I just did this. But we want to welcome you in anyway on this Thursday, December the 14th, the NBA here tonight. We've got, 7 games on the schedule here. It's and a couple of spots that are very intriguing in this lineup here tonight. We do have 3 of the best at this half price Thursday. WagerTalk crew ready to roll with double R1L. Steve Merill in the house. RC is here, that being Mr. Ronald Kabang. And nobody better. Never met a total he didn't like to go over, Mr. Rob Vino here on this half price Thursday. We're going to get more into that on how you guys can go ahead and partner up with any one of these gentlemen or anybody at wagertalk.com for half price tonight. Plenty of opportunities to make it a profitable evening. We'll get to that here in just a few, but we want to start with the contrarian gods. Why? Well, they're a little ticked off there last night. Memphis was oh so close to getting it covered. They weren't happy. They ended up fading away last night as Houston ended up getting it done. So tonight, they're head scratching right now. Why? Well, the Utah Jazz are their pick here for a contrarian spot. And what makes this so crazy is that everyone's running it for the first time, I think, this year to bet Portland, the Trailblazers. We got tickets, we got money. 3.5 is what this number was. I don't think we'll ever see another spot where we're all running to the window to bet Portland. So the contrarian gods here, Merill, say, slow the roll. Let's think about this here for a minute. Utah coming off that win against the Knicks last night. Are you on the same page with the contrarian gods here?
Well, the Wager Talk live odds screen did not get the memo because as we're doing this show live within the last 5 minutes, it is lighting up like Rob Vino's, one of his many Christmas trees. He's got like 5 of them, I heard, up there in Christmas tree territory of Pennsylvania. But yeah, this was 3.5 when the show started. It is now 4.5 across the board with Portland as the favorite. And I agree with that move. I don't think this is just a public move. I think this is a sharp money move also. And look, I was on the Utah Jazz last night. I'm 3-1, 75% this week in the NBA. I am number 1 this year, up 40 net games going back to January 1st. And we had the Jazz last night, outright underdog winner against the Knicks. But that was more of a play against New York. It was also Utah back at home after a bad home showing in their previous home game before. Now they're traveling without rest. I think this is a bad spot for Utah. I think the focus spot was last night. Now I think the focus spot is for Portland, who looks to snap their little 3-game mini losing streak here. So I agree with the line move. I am going to fade the contrarian gods. I think Portland, like them better at 3.5, but even at -4, 4.5, I think that's still the correct side to be on.
Ooh, all right. Merill jumping on the Portland Trailblazers bandwagon. RC, make it make sense, man. It's Portland we're talking about here. What do you think?
Yeah, this one's tough. A lot of great points by Steve there. I think for me though, just looking at this Portland team, Jeremy Grant is out, Brogdon is questionable as well. Blazers, they actually haven't won a game when either one of them has been out of the lineup. So 0-3 straight up without Grant in the lineup, 0-7 without Brogdon in the lineup. Their defense takes a huge hit when one of them is out. And if Brogdon is out too, both of those guys are out, it's even worse. I think in the 2 or 3 games that they've played without the both of them, they've given up at least 228 each, I think, on some of those games there. So their defense takes a huge hit. I know the Jazz are going to be missing some key players. I think the line move was because Markkanen and John Collins were officially out. George is out. Clarkson is out. So it seems like there's a lot of players that are going to be out for this team. But at the same time, they're not that top. They're not a team that's really top heavy. They got a whole bunch of guards that can step in right away that have starting experience as well. And also, I mean, just if you look at guys like Clarkson who puts up a bunch of points, they're actually 3-2 straight up, 4-1 against the spread without him. This is the first time, like you said, the Blazers have been favored all season long. And as much offense as the Jazz are missing, I just feel like they have enough to be able to stick with this Blazers defense, especially if both Brogdon and Grant are out too. So I don't know. To me, I can actually back the contrarian gods on this one at the +4.5. Especially last 2 times I went against the contrarian gods and I won both. that's the last two shows. This time I'm gonna go with them and see maybe I got the gods figured out. So we'll see tonight.
Oh, we're screwed. We're screwed. RC just agreed with the contrarian god. He's been the contrarian to the contrarian gods, and now he's on the same page with him here. So we are split down the middle here, 1-1, it appears. You know what that means, Vino. That's why we got you in the cleanup spot here. You got to break this damn tie. Is it Merill or the contrarian gods you are leaning towards?
That's a hell of a choice, Joe. Yeah, the move from 3.5 to 4.5. I mean, we could all put blindfolds on and earmuffs and understand that thing all lit up like a Christmas tree because injury, right? It was officially announced that Larry Markkinen was going to be out. Boom, 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 boom. Everybody's got to run. The sirens go off, and you got to go play the other side. It makes sense to some extent. I mean, I don't want the Jazz without Markkinen in it, but I think you could have assumed 3 hours ago that Larry Markkinen wasn't going to play on back-to-backs. I mean, it was his first game last night in 8 games, and there was no way he was going to go twice in a row. So you could have got a better price early. Just for what it's worth, the 8 games Markkinen was absent from the Utah lineup, they went 4-4 against the spread. 4 wins, but 3 of them were at home, only 1 on the road. So I could build a case for anti-Utah, but, you could build the same case for anti-Portland, right? Ronald mentioned the people missing there. You guys mentioned it's the first time they're a favorite. Who wants to trust them laying 4.5 to 4.5? If we want to call sharp being a sharp move because somebody was announced out and they all ran to the window, then I guess it's a sharp move from 3.5 to 4.5, but I wouldn't side with that. I'm going to say this. I think I'd side with the contrarians. I think it's just too difficult to lay points with Portland at this point in time. They're actually playing better, and I'd love to say Portland. And I think there's a way, guys, in this game where you could find to play Portland. First quarter, in game, maybe second half, Utah runs out of gas. But I don't know that they have enough offensive firepower without Markkinen and Clarkson both. And Ronald made reference to no Clarkson, no Collins. No Collins, no Clarkson, no Markkinen. That's a big chunk out, but I still think that maybe they can get enough done here. I'll side with contrarian gods. This is a lousy game.
Yeah, it's a tough game, but again, it's interesting, and we've seen it a number of times over the years here. The overreaction to guys not playing in the marketplace has always been a profitable one to fade that initial movement there, Vino. So the contrarian gods are saying, enter at your own risk if you're going to run to the window and back Portland here tonight at home against the Utah Jazz. Now, as bad as that game is, they're not all terrible. We do have actually a pretty good one coming up here tonight, and it's going to involve the Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Sacramento Kings, who got absolutely just boat raced the other night by the Clippers. But OKC has had its issues in the state of California, especially against Sacramento here. It's not exactly always been a fun trip when they've played. We did see this game, I believe, this matchup, Merill, last month, was it? And didn't work out well for OKC there. I'm wondering if you think, is this the time maybe OKC finally gets a W in lighting the beam here? Or I don't know. I'm seeing 1 for 10 against the Kings overall here. So I'm not sure that I'm running to the window with OKC either. What are you thinking?
Yeah, first of all, if you don't like that Utah Jazz Portland matchup, just check out Thursday Night Football. We've got Jim Plunkett and Dan Fouts, unfortunately, not playing each other with the Raiders and Chargers. So it could get worse. There's 7 good college basketball games, and Joe and I broke those down in detail with Adam Trigger and Brian Power on the College Basketball Show. So check that out also here on WagerTalk TV. Yeah, if you look at the recent history here, it's been like Sacramento. I mean, it's pretty much all that, and they've also covered every one of those. Last 7 wins in a row, 6-0-1 against the spread, and that includes the 105-98 low-scoring game that stayed well under the total back in November 10th. But Kings are not playing much defense right now, and this is a Sacramento team last year. They were the Indiana Pacers of last year. High totals, no defense, all offense, fast pace. Looked like they're a little more serious this year. Started off okay, but that defense is starting to struggle again. They've given up basically 48, 49% shooting, I think, in like 8 of their last 10 games on the defensive side. The problem with that Clipper game was they didn't show up offensively. They only scored 99 points, only shot 42% from the field. Back at home with a day of rest, I would expect a better offensive showing by Sacramento. Meanwhile, Oklahoma City shooting the ball extremely well. They've been 52% or better in 3 of their last 5 games. But the 2 games in which they did not shoot well were in between there at Dallas, at Houston, the 2 road games. The 3 home games, they shot extremely well. So I think it's a good setup here for Sacramento. We saw the line briefly at 2, drop to 1.5. But I like the Kings in this spot. They've owned this series in recent years. And I think it's a good bounce back spot after that poor showing against the Clippers.
It's it's interesting, RC. Mike Brown, the head coach of Sacramento, amazing how poor a defensive team this is. I mean, he even said it. That whole ass whooping by the Clippers had a lot less to do with the offense and way more to do with the lack of defense they're playing. They're going to have a hard time repeating what they did last year. Somebody's got to play some defense and get some stops here on the Kings. Does tonight start that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously from the side perspective, you guys touched on the historic record of these teams here. Kings 10-1, straight up 8-3 against the spread since 2020. Obviously, the Thunder are a different beast this year. They're a lot better than in previous seasons. The thing about just looking at the earlier matchup this season, the Kings beat the Thunder outright without De'Aaron Fox. With that said, the Thunder actually have been one of the best road defenses in the league. I think they're number 1 rated defensive team in the league on the road. They also do well as road dogs in that situation this season. They're 4-0-1 against the spread in that spot. Now, with that said, you can counter all of that when you look at the Kings side. Kings 6-2 straight up as home favorites, 7-1 to the over. So you're looking at an over and under type split between these two teams because obviously the Thunder with their defense. But, the Kings, they play up to their opponent's level, 6-2 straight up, 7-1 against the spread against teams above 500. That sort of says maybe take the under in this one, but in my opinion, like if I'm just looking, if I'm looking at the side perspective, I would stay away from the side just because, to me, my model says that the Thunder would be able to win this game, but just historically, it seems like the Kings match up well with this team, so I'd stay away from the side. I would lean towards the under here. Another thing to mention that points towards the under, the Kings are 5-3 to the under against teams above 500 as well, so. When they play up against these top level teams, they do it with defense. So we'll see what happens here, but I would lean towards the under in this one.
So it's certainly a game, Vino, that the total has gotten more steam than the side. I saw it -2 this morning for Sacramento. It's a 1.5 now, but that total from 241.5 to 245 now. Tells us maybe Mike Brown's not going to get his Christmas wish where Sacramento begins to play some defense here tonight. So what do you think? What do you think is going to happen in this one?
The first thing I'd have to say is, what is Mike Brown talking about? They held the Clippers to 119. In Kings terms, that should be a win. You hold somebody under 120, you're supposed to win. That's good defense by the Kings. Normally they're giving up 130. So he's also the guy who last week, Joe, when we were on, he said, just wait. By the time playoff time comes, you're going to see us playing solid defense. And I think I said that, maybe I said that on Skee's show, and he started laughing when I said it. And ever since he said it, Mike Brown, there's been little to no defense. But I still would stand on the ground that if the Kings allow 119 every game, they're going to win a lot of games. Their offense was miserable the other night, 27% shooting from 3. The guard combination of Fox, Herter, and Monk, who usually have to be responsible, one of them, for putting up a boatload of points. They were 9 for 32 combined. That's not good for the Kings. As somebody who likes to play bounce back, where in reference to if a team is really, really good at something and they don't do well, they should bounce back. The Kings are such a great offensive team, such a great tempo team. I would expect them to bounce back against the Thunder here. And right now, the Thunder offense has been basically unstoppable. 272 points in their last 2 games. It's a lot of points. I don't think Mike Brown is going to get better defense than 119 tonight, Joe. I can tell you that. I think Oklahoma City's going over 120. So the total move, I think a little differently than Ronald. I think it was correct. I see this matchup getting somewhere in the 246, 247 vicinity, 125, 122, something like that. So you can get there's an array of 244 and a halves out there still available. I think that's the way to go here. You're going to get the pace. Sacramento shoots better tonight, I think, and we go up and over the number.
All right, good stuff there. So there you go. OKC taking on Sacramento Kings. And before we get to our overtime segment, I do want to remind you guys, it is half off Thursday right now at WagerTalk. So if you haven't done so already, first thing you do, if you're new to us, is hit that subscribe button. Those of you joining us live here on this Thursday, you guys know the routine. Smash that like button and then go visit Steve Merill, RC, Ronald Kabang, or Rob Vino over at WagerTalk.com and take advantage. Half off the daily packages right now. And it's there's no limit here. So you can do one, you can do two, you can do all three guys. Go take advantage of it here, as we've got plenty of opportunities in games already posted, locked, loaded, ready to go for you at WagerTalk.com. All right, we are going to focus on a total here. And instead of, we're kind of scarred after that Milwaukee-Indiana game last night, where we're all thinking 250 it can't possibly go over. Well, yeah, hello. It went over. So we're going to take a look at the lowest total on the board here, I believe. And the Bulls traveling here to Miami to take on the Heat. I did see 217 and a half in the morning. It looks like we're down to the 216 and a half. Not a big surprise here, although we did just see Miami handle business both defensively and offensively against Charlotte there, Merill. The Bulls coming into town, having played some really good basketball here since no Zach LaVine. It hasn't necessarily transitioned into wins, although I thought they played really good against Denver. It just didn't work out for them there. It feels like a low number, knowing what both of these teams are capable of doing offensively, and they've shown us that. So what are we doing this? Is it still just an over or an under in pass for you?
Well, Teddy and I talked about that Bucks-Pacers game on Wager Talk yesterday, and he and I both agreed, as something you and I've talked about, Ralph Michaels has brought up before, the highest totals go over, the lowest totals go under more times than not. So that's kind of your starting point, your initial logic in these games. You kind of look for a reason to play this under. You look for a reason to play Pacers over last night. And once again, it soared over, got to the 266 range. These teams have played twice this season. Obviously, both teams extremely deep on the injury list right now. There's 14 guys listed combined on the injury report. I think 4 of them are G League two ways. So what is that, 12 otherwise or 10 otherwise? Still a lot of the injury depth. So when they played a couple weeks ago, mid-November, not quite the same lineups, but it does jump out to you that in the 2 games so far this season, only once of the 4 combined scores did anybody score more than 102 points. The first game was 102-97. That total was 212, stayed under. And then the rematch a couple days later was 118-100. It only got over because Miami put up 118, but Chicago scored 102 or less in both games, and the Heat scored 97 in the other one. So once again, I know it seems contrary to play the lowest totals under, but these are low for a reason, and this most likely will stay under again tonight.
216 and a half, certainly maybe first one to 100 wins here, RC, 105 maybe. But we have seen, we've seen White, we've seen we've seen these guys step up here in Chicago. And hey, listen, if Jimmy Butler wants to drop 30 on you, he's going to drop 30 on you here. There was some thought that maybe Tyler Hero would be ready to go tonight. If not tonight, he's apparently very close to coming back. So how do you approach this game tonight? Is it still an under for you like it is, Steve?
No, it seems like me and Steve are just battling it out in every game here. I'm actually looking towards the over in this one. Obviously you mentioned, right, the Bulls have been playing a lot better offensively since LaVine has been out of the lineup. I checked the splits; they averaged 10 more points per game without him. The Bulls, they've gone over in 5 straight road games. If we look at the Heat side, it might seem like it's sort of the opposite, right? I think they've gone under in 3 of their last 4 games, but they've gone over their team total in 5 of the last 7. So if we're seeing two teams
Hmm.
playing really good offense at the same time, it makes me lean towards the over at the very least. The Bulls, they face, when facing teams on the second leg of back-to-back games too, so far this season, 5-1 to the over. It seems like they're trying to take advantage of tired legs, but what actually happens backfires on them because they're actually 1-5 straight up and 1-5 against the spread in that situation. They're giving up a lot of points in that spot. So to me, I'm looking towards the over in this low number here.
All right, liking the over here. Vino, I believe they were hoping to get Caruso back, who is their best defender there, the Bulls. He still looks like he's as questionable. Certainly wouldn't hurt to get him back on the floor, but and with what we're seeing, 216 with some teams that can chuck it up from 3, what are you thinking in this one? Is, you're a guy that's never met an over you didn't like to take. So is it over for you in this one?
Well, especially this one, Joe. And I get mad at myself for missing the train on this Bulls over parade, which is now 8-1, last 9 games. Last week, I caught an article about 4 games ago where Billy Donovan basically was preaching, we're last in the NBA in possessions per 48 minutes, and that's got to change. And a lot of times coaches say stuff. We just talked about Mike Brown, right? Wants defense, doesn't get defense. But you start looking at the results, and Billy Donovan's team was getting more possessions per 48 minutes, and their game totals were getting higher scoring. And the odds makers weren't making the adjustment because they're the lousy shooting Bulls, right? And Zach LaVine did hit the bench, and everybody got happy because they got minutes. How about somebody mentioned Kobe White? Maybe it was you, Joe. How about this month? Kobe White is now averaging 39.2 minutes a game, and he's averaging 26.8 points per. The other night, DeMar DeRozan couldn't throw enough roses on top of Kobe White after his performance. So it seems like on the floor, they listened to what Billy Donovan was saying. They getting up and down. At least their offense is way more efficient at this point in time. And they seem to be a little more cohesive on that end without LaVine out there. So I'd expect maybe he sits till he gets traded. And then we have the Miami Heat, which we've talked about often on this show. They always get the short end of the total, right? They're the Miami Heat. They can't score. They only play defense. That theory has been stuck in people's heads for 6 years. But yet, Miami goes over these low totals. This number that we're dealing with tonight, guys, just to make sense out of it, Bulls are 10 over 216.5 in their last 11 games. And Miami's over 216.5 in 5 of their last 7 without these guys. Bam Adebayo hasn't played in a while. Tyler Hero hasn't played in a while. They're still going over. So to me, one day we're going to get Johnny Detroit to get us some NBA tip-off. If it ain't broke, don't fix it shirts, Joe. Because this is one of those, if it ain't broke, I cashed the last 3 in a row. Like I said, I caught the train a little too late, but we're on it now. And I think Bulls over 216.5. Hey, maybe they throw me off the train tonight, but I got to stay there because Donovan seems to be getting what he wanted out of his team right now. And that's more possessions, more points.
Yeah, and more tempo too, which is something else he had mentioned that he wanted. He wanted the team to play with a little more pace here, a little more urgency, and they've done a pretty good job of that. Not to mention, I believe the Bulls have kind of owned Miami here over the last couple of seasons too here. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out here tonight. But we've got 7 games on the card. There are a few intriguing dogs. So let's take a look at them here, Robert, and see which ones may be barking.
That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. And anybody got to say anything, you let me know. That's my dog.
All right, let's check out what with the Cavs are getting 9 here tonight against. Why do people keep betting Boston at double figures is beyond me. T-Wolves +1. The Jazz we talked about. How about them Bulls? The Thunder. How about the Warriors? Will they ever win a game without punching somebody in the head? And then the Nets, who just came, looks like the Nets, I believe, last night. Exacted a little revenge there. Couple of now Brooklyn Nets players sticking at the Phoenix last night, but now tough spot here tonight. They are getting 9.5 in Denver here. So a couple of intriguing numbers Merill and games and situations. Is there one that sticks out to you tonight as a possible barking dog here?
Yeah, we've got, 3 very small dogs, so I feel like that's almost like cheating saying they can win outright. But there is one that's a medium-priced dog that I think could win outright. I'll call them a live dog, and that's the last game of the board at 10:40 Eastern. The Golden State Warriors plus 5.5, around about plus 180 or so on the money line. And a couple things here: Draymond Green might have some anger management issues. Third time he's been ejected now this season, and he's been ejected for more than just one game this time. He is indefinitely suspended until he meets, I forget the quote, I don't have it in front of me, but it's until he meets a league-wide and team-wide agreeable acceptance of play or something like that, which means he got to change his ways, I think, in the near future. But I actually think that might be a rallying call for the Warriors tonight, and it'll wake them up. They'll come focused in this game. We just talked about how the Clippers are coming off the nice win against the defenseless Kings, but LA is still one of the slowest, one of the better defensive teams, but I'm not so sure they're great offensively. And I think Golden State can score in this game and perhaps pull the outright upset. These teams have played twice already this season, and Golden State's a perfect 2-0 ATS in those games. In fact, they led by 11 and 19 at halftime in each game, won by 6, and then lost by 1 as a 5-point dog at LA about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I think they keep it close again tonight, Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, listen, they were what was it, like you said, about a week and a half ago. They were close, had that lead and blew it down the stretch. Paul George still questionable, didn't play in the second half last night in that game. So we'll see if the Clippers are a full go here against Golden State. If not, that line is moving. So might not be a bad idea to grab as many points as possible while you can here. And RC, intriguing, only 7 games here. Which one sticks out to you as a possible barking dog?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to that game we talked about with the contrarian gods. The Jazz here. I think they're gonna be able to cover that 4.5, possibly win outright. Like I said, they haven't been able to win a game without Grant or Brogdon. I think that continues here. Their defense just struggles so much, especially without Brogdon. Even without all those guys that are going to be missing for the Jazz here, I still do think they have enough in the tank to be able to get up and over, especially their team total. And if they're able to do that, they should be able to have a chance to win this game.
I love it. That sounds like a sprinkle to me there with the Utah Jazz getting it done here tonight. Now getting 4.5 plus 150 on the money line. Rob Vino. Come on, Vino. We got almost a couple of pick'ems on the board here. Which one of these dogs is barking for you here tonight?
Don't cheat.
Yeah, let's
Don't
go
cheat.
high today, Joe. Let's go high today,
Attaboy.
Joe. Let's go high.
Boy.
I'll look at the Cavs. Joe, you said it to begin with, laying a lot of points with Boston, but this tomorrow might be the better situation where Boston's concerned because they have a look ahead. They have back-to-backs. Orlando is into Boston tomorrow night. So maybe you want to fade Boston tomorrow, but I'll look to fade them today. It's the second game consecutive that they've played the Cavs. They weren't home and home. They're both at home for Boston. So nobody had to move. Nobody had to fly. Boston wins the other night, 120-113. A lot of things happened inside that 120-113. Cleveland had a big lead. Of course, like any NBA game, you have a big lead, you blow a big lead, you come back. And in the end, Porzingis and company went on a little run, and Boston won by 7. There's no saying that Boston doesn't win by 7 here again tonight, right? I mean, you just beat this team. Going to see him again. I figure Cleveland would be the more motivated team to at least get a split out of this series. So 9 seems like a hefty amount. They do have the arsenal to stay close in this game, especially if Boston is somewhat disinterested. So to me, from a situational standpoint, probably Cleveland. They've gone on the road to Miami and 1 straight up, to Philadelphia and 1 straight up, to Golden State and 1 straight up. So they don't have a problem winning in good teams' venues. They don't even have to win here. Just stay within 9. So I'll try Cavaliers in this second of back-to-backs against Boston plus the 9.
All right, definitely not cheating there. Plus 9 with the Cavs here tonight. So there you got it. We've got 3 dogs that could be barking here tonight. And now we've got coming up 3 best bets. Don't forget, if you're joining us here for the first time, You know, routine, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That's become part of the family here at WagerTalk TV, because nobody has more content when it comes to head-to-head matchups on a daily basis as well as weekly basis here. We've got plenty of it. Here the game breakdowns. Here's some more best bets just a click away. Hit that subscribe button and join us here. And don't forget to smash that like button, those of you joining us live here on the broadcast on this Thursday. All right. Again, for those of you that are new, best bets, we throw 60 seconds on the clock. These guys can self-promote. They can do, an Elon Musk and tell everyone to F them. They can do whatever they want with that 60 seconds. We just want a best bet somewhere in there. So, Steve Merill, get ready here, guys. 60 seconds on the clock. There might be a prop in this. There might be a step back, sky hook. What do we got, Merill, for a best bet tonight?
Might be a floater like balloons. Balloons are permitted. Look, we're going to look at a free play here on the NBA card tonight, a high-scoring shootout for you in just a moment. Quick reminder, half price Thursday, NBA Red Hot, 75% this week, number one for 2023. Get my half price NBA moneymaker tonight on Thursday at WagerTalk.com. Let's look at over 244.5 between the Thunder and Kings. Highest total on the board, and it's high for a reason. These high totals go over more times than not. I keep saying it, and this one should be a shootout. Earlier meeting was low scoring back in November, just 203. Misleading, though. The two teams were 20 for 77 from the three-point line. I think it'll be a little bit better tonight. Thunder Kings over 244.5. Half price Thursday is great, boys. But when you turn 50, it's fantastic because you get everything for half price. All subscriptions this week only on my page with promo code HALFWAY. 1 day, 1 week, even a 1 year, $1,000 savings. All subscriptions, halfway, half price, this week only. Happy birthday, WagerTalk.com.
Oh, there it is. Oh, it is. You got the balloons. Damn it. I knew it. RC, you got to love a man that carries his own candles. You really do, man. There's something special about that. All right. The helium's coming. All right, RC, you got it. 60 seconds on the board. Let's go. Where you going for a best bet?
Yeah, I'm going to the Warriors and the Clippers tonight. I like this game to stay under the 231 number. It's primarily from the Clippers side. If you look at them, especially at home, they're the fourth best rated home team in the league at 105.8. They allow 104.8 points per game at home, which is the reason why they're 8-2-2 to the under at the house, including 6-0 to the under when the total is greater than 225. So these higher numbers, they tend to stay under. In those games, they're averaging a combined score of 213.2 per game in that spot. As a favorite in general, 12-4-2 to the under as well, averaging a combined 219.7 per game. If you're looking at the Warriors side, they're dealing with a bunch of chemistry issues, off-court issues with Draymond, who's suspended indefinitely. Their offensive efficiency actually takes a step down when he's not with them in the lineup. And we know one thing is from the Suns game is they've been struggling with defense, especially in that second half. So they're going to focus on defense tonight, and so will the Clippers. And I like this one to stay under.
All right. Oh, I'm looking forward to go under here tonight. That leaves us, last but not least, of course, Rob Vino ready to roll here. Merill set you up. He did a little math there. He brought his own candles. He had a balloon with numbers on it. So I know you're ready for this here, Vino. 60 seconds on the clock. Drop it for us. Where you going tonight?
Yeah, well, 50 came and went a long time ago for me, Joe, so I don't have those candles anymore. They're gone. I will sell promo here real quick. Let me just remind everybody that college bowl season starts this week. 6 games right out of the chute on Saturday. WagerTalk special bowl extravaganza. You can get every bowl game I release for $99 for the entire bowl season. I have 3 up right now. You can get for half price today, but it's probably better to get the $99 package. College football has been great, fantastic 12-week run. Number one profit maker at WagerTalk over that course of time. Guys, I'm going to go to the Denver-Brooklyn game. Situational play here. Phoenix, I think, what do you call it, Joe? Yesterday, Mikal Bridges, why you want to trade me game. And they went to Phoenix, and they won that game, and they played hard. The rotation was kept thin. Now you go to Denver to play the Nuggets, who are rested and healthy because Jamal Murray's going to play here. I think second half altitude, you might see some Brooklyn fatigue. It's their 3rd and 4 nights. 9.5, not too much to ask out of the Nuggets. I'm going to play them here minus the points.
All right. Boom. There you've got it here, guys. A little peek into some best bets as RC. He looking at the under in that Golden State Clipper game here tonight. Merill, candles and all, looking at the over in the OKC Sacramento game there, while Rob Vino, doesn't have his own candles, but he does have the Nuggets laying 9.5 here tonight. Definitely worth a look-see. And don't forget, visit Rob Vino, Steve Merill, Ronald Cabang over at WagerTalk.com. Take advantage of that half-off Thursday right now. Best bets locked and loaded for these guys. A little something for everyone here tonight. Across the board to bet on. Should be a very profitable evening. We'll be back again tomorrow for the NBA tip-off show. So once again, hit that subscribe, hit that like button for us. We certainly do appreciate it. And go ahead and just click on that video on your screen right now. More head-to-head matchups, game previews, and best bets are just a click away. Become part of the Wager Talk TV family and check out all those videos coming up here by clicking on it right now here in front of you. We'll see you again tomorrow with another edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show. Best of luck.